where fantasies come alive. Rocking out with El Slack and Swally. Every week a new episode. Join us in the metaverse. Let's hit it explode. Let's hit explode. Let's hit explode.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Neutral Zone. We are back with a special edition Sydney, Australia version. And in this fun little episode, I'm going to take a back seat, and Swarley and Lily are gonna run the show, and I'm going to be doing the twos and threes in the background.
That's right. It's my chance to show how easy it is to fuck everything up.
There you go. Yeah, you're in the driver's seat now, partner.
And the problem is I've only got 2 monitors to deal with, not 3, so I have to juggle stuff around on the screen. So bear with me, guys. We'll have to work through this. But anyway, we'll get there. So obviously, collection speculation is the topic of the day. But stay tuned. There is a bit of an announcement at the end that you probably don't want to miss out on hearing.
Is that the thing we talked about yesterday?
That's the thing we talked about yesterday. We will at least announce it and start the ball rolling on that.
Okay, exciting.
There is hints in the show already as to what that might be, but we'll just leave it at that for now.
Ooh, I like that. And I don't even know what's going to go on in this one because I have been out of the loop all day. So this is exciting for me. It's like a.
All right,
like
so I said to you that if Sydney ever got released, we'll do a collection speculation video. So here we are doing the collection speculation video. And we've managed to drag Lily in to join us. So hi, Lily.
Hi.
So between the two of us, we're going to have a stab at a few collections for Sydney. So I've asked Lily to do some homework, and I've done the same, where we've picked 4 limited, 3 exclusives, 2 rares, and an ultra rare. But before we get started, I want to say a couple of things. First of all, obviously, we have some knowledge of the city that we've both sort of been around most of our lives, really, which is some insights that obviously people like yourself, not from Sydney, even Queenslanders like Ben68 or Ace, stuff like that, may not know Sydney as well as what we do. That doesn't mean we know what the collections are going to be. And if upland history has anything to go by, chances are we're going to have a big swing and a miss today.
So you mean you're not psychic?
So, and I'll also say, as someone that has bought the Banana Guide in the past, so Human Sims in-game name, I believe it is, for people that do buy that, strongly recommend that you do, because he nails it. I think he's got a success rate something in the vicinity of 70%, which is pretty phenomenal. And even if he doesn't hit a collection, if people think it's a collection, you can still flip stuff. And I just want to say that I have not seen his guide for this one. I haven't bought it for this show. If we overlap, it's pure by coincidence. If we overlap, it's because great minds think alike. If we don't, it's because he knows more than I. So I just wanted to start with that. So obviously, we know nothing about what Upland's going to do. History has shown that, even the best locals with the most information still can't get collections. I think London was a classic example where a lot of people were a bit, I don't know what the right word is, surprised with some of the collections, and more so than non-collections. And I can tell you now, going through Sydney and knowing how big a city it is and what could be a collection, to limit it down to what we've done today, near impossible. It was a lot tougher than I thought it was. I probably overthought it. Lily's been a bit more lax and probably a bit more casual about it. So we'll see how we both go in the wash down the track. So it'd be interesting to see. So today is, we're just talking about collections. We're not going to be talking about anything else in relation to the Sydney opening. We dealt with that on the show the other day. I will say, though, I've seen some other people comment that maybe myself especially is not as excited as I should be for Sydney. It's not true. I am excited. To be honest, I'd probably been more excited 18 months ago when I thought Sydney was coming. And I think it's fair to say that most long-term uplanders probably don't have that same buzz about them anymore for a city release. Having said that, for me personally, Sydney has brought back some of that buzz. Obviously, a bit disappointed with some of the stuff around the Sydney release, but the city itself, super excited, and certainly can't wait to see the expansion. I mean, this is only 15% of Sydney being released. Imagine what it would be like when 100%. So I'm excited to see the future of that as well. What are your thoughts?
I think your mic cut out for a second there, Swarley.
I did it. Well, you have to let me know. So, and again, I'm not reading chat, guys, so Elsac has to translate for me. I've got too much already on my screen. So
I got the chat, don't you worry.
So if anyone's got any questions, by all means, fire them through and we'll try and answer them. So I guess without further ado, let's get going. So we're going to start off with just Lily and I both picked out 4 what we call limited collections. So we've picked out 4 each. Again, Upland haven't told us how many collections there are going to be in this release. And given it's only 15% of the city, it could be anything from like 4, like we saw with Miami expansion, to double figures. So I really didn't know where to start with that. So that's why I went with 4 limited, 3 exclusive, 2 rares, and an ultra rare. So hopefully that covers all bases, but if not, shit happens. All right, so Lily, do you want to start with? You with us?
My
Lily?
limiteds?
Yep.
Yeah.
You want to start with the first limited that you gave me, because I don't have that on my list at all. And so that's the Darling Harbour. Once you mentioned that, I was like, "Crap, how's that not in my list?" But tell me why you think. Tell me why you think Darling Harbour should be, well, a collection, I guess.
Well, yeah, Darling Harbour's not only touristy, but the locals use Darling Harbour a lot. It's got some nice food, and it's just a nice evening walk if you live in the area to walk around. But they also have events for children on weekends, and you know, the garden is up the road there, and everything is just nice and close, and it's not too far from the city. So you can actually go shop in the morning and then go have a breezy afternoon down in the harbour. It's nice. I like it. So yeah, I wanted to put that in a collection.
And one of the best things for me, at least, with Darling Harbour is the different ways you can get there. Obviously, you can get buses, trains, all that sort of stuff, but nothing beats catching a ferry into Darling Harbour and jumping off.
Yep.
That's just me personally. All right, I'm going to leave your other 3 selections aside from it. I'm going to go with mine. So your other 3 your other 3 all overlap with me, but in different areas. So we'll go with my 4 limited collections. So my first one's Glebe. So it's an inner city, one of the oldest neighborhoods. Well, as I've got here, laid back inner west suburb with academic and bohemian vibes. Known for its historic homes, Glebe's marketplace, and proximity to the universities, ideal for a limited collection. So it's right there in the heart of the city. Even though Australia's a massive country, for some reason back in the old days they built everything like we're in the smallest. Well, I guess they came from England, so England are used to building everything really tight and close together. So Sydney started off the same way early days. So as you can see from some of the structures. So there's not much more to say about that. What do you think, Lily? Yay, nay, or?
I personally love Glebe. I hang out a lot in Glebe as a child and a teen, and there are some lovely restaurants along the strip there. So I do have Glebe in one of my other things, but in a much more limited way.
Yeah.
How many properties could you tell? Did it look like it had a lot of properties in that
I didn't go that deep into
Okay.
all this. I
I
didn't have enough
looked.
time, so
I
Lily,
have
you
some
looked?
family homes in that area, so I was scouring to see if they were on the map, and they're not. So they're going to end up in somebody else's possession. So I'm very disappointed about Glebe.
alrighty.
Bummer.
So I'm not going to do like a banana guide and give a percentage of what I think will, because I don't have the experience to go, especially of trying to predict Upland's collection. So, if at best I'll say probably low expectation for a collection, but it's probably something that I would, if I happen to be near, I'll probably be going after myself. Now we'll move on to the next one. So Redfern, I'm a little bit more confident about Redfern being a collection. So it's a suburb rich in Aboriginal culture and heritage, known for its historic architect, vibrant street and growing cafes and tech scenes. Limited collection is a blend from a modern real life. So for non-Australians, Redfern is almost the heart of the Aboriginal or Indigenous community, and so to me, it's almost, to me this is a confident. Like I think it should be a collection. I'd be very surprised if it wasn't. The mounted police, I mean, the New South Wales police used to train there. They've now moved out of Sydney where they train, but the mounted police still train there. So that's just my policing history coming out there. Yeah, so Lily, what do you think?
Redfern is lovely, and it's full of history, but so is everything else.
Yeah,
So you have to kind of pick your own personal kind of favourites or something that's kind of touristy. So I did not pick Redfern.
And
I
again,
have a question as a dumb American.
right.
How important is like the Aboriginal culture, specifically in Sydney, to your speculation of it being a collection?
Lily, do you want to go with this one? You had some thoughts about this earlier.
Well, in general, most Australians really value Aboriginal culture, whether they're Aboriginal or not. We celebrate on their behalf. The fact that, you know, they hold the country in such high esteem, the land, its history. So choosing Redfern is not a bad take at all.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think most Australians would definitely feel the same way. All right, so let's move along. We've got a lot of collections to go through and try and keep this. Okay, Potts Point, King's Cross. So it's the one neighbourhood. So Lily talked on the show the other day about the famous Coca-Cola sign. So you can see that in the little bottom left picture there. It's a huge sign. You cannot miss it when you're driving or walking through King's Cross. King's Cross is kind of like the nightlife area of Sydney with nightclubs, pubs, restaurants. It's probably the only bit that really doesn't ever sleep. So like a baby New York, maybe, I don't know. And a little bit of an adult district as well. You build it sort of into that. So
Little bit?
I didn't want to overshadow it, but yeah, a little bit.
It's not kid friendly.
Not at night time.
No, it's still kid. It's still kid friendly of a day, but not of a night.
Yeah.
Got it.
So, and like I said, so that's more of the whole neighborhood rather than the particular strip itself, which could be different in a sense too. So, so the King's Cross strip itself, like I guess like the Vegas strip, that was a collection on its own or something from memory. So whether that could be something different, I don't know. But the neighborhood itself, which goes all the way down to the water, lovely part of the world, very expensive part of the world.
Yeah.
And I would be surprised if it wasn't a collection, but again, I really don't know. So sometimes I'm really just guessing, and to be honest, to try and narrow it down to a few was so hard. Okay, my last limited one, and we'll move back to Lily, is Piermont. Again, right in the heart of the city. Probably was it right next door to? I'm just trying to get my geography right. Right next door to Darling Harbour, really, or across the across the water from Darling
It's
Harbour.
close. Yeah, it's very
Yeah.
close.
Again, a beautiful spot in Sydney, right in the heart of the city. I'm going to be saying that a lot, I guess. So, again, there's some. Lily's going to come up with a couple in a sec that could easily be substituted in for this one. Again, it's just something I like. Lily, what do you think?
I think pretty much everything could have been a collection.
Yeah, that's
I did not pick Piedmont. It did not occur to me to pick Piedmont, even though there's a lot of great stuff there. It didn't even occur to me to pick Piedmont at all.
See, one of my favourite establishments, and I'll have a picture of it later on, was the Piedmont Hotel. A number of times I've been in that pub and had a beer or two or more.
Is that the one you said that has the nice view of the opera house?
No. That's the Shangri-La. That's like a accommodation hotel, not a pub. That has a licensed bar at the top, and the views up there are spectacular. Okay. All right, so before we move on to exclusive, so you've got a couple of other limited suggestions, Lily. Do you want to go with them?
Yep. So I picked Chinatown, which is in Haymarket. So basically you could say the whole of Haymarket, but I'm choosing to call it Chinatown because it is a smaller area than the whole of Haymarket. And basically it's a really wonderful place, not only for the food, but they have the New Year's celebrations, and it's just great. I just love going to Chinatown there. So my next one was, I kind of touched on King's Cross by saying Oxford Street. So Oxford Street is quite vibrant. It's also got areas that are quite dingy. But it's Oxford Street. I mean, come on. You've got to have Oxford Street somewhere.
All right.
What's the significance of Oxford Street?
Oh, we'll get to that more in a minute.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So these three that Lily do show up in my analysis further down, which is why I've left them to after I did my limited. So all three of these we're going to be expanding on down the track.
And then in true Aussie fashion, I put pubs. So you have a pub. There's thousands of them. So I'm sure they'll limit it down, but pubs.
It's kind of the Aussie way that when men went out and explored a new area and decided, this is a great spot for the town, the first thing they built was a pub. Because you need a beer before, during, and after work, I guess. I don't know. So pretty much every town, especially older towns, there used to be a pub on every corner.
Is that a coincidence it's named pubs?
Pub? What do you mean by that?
Is that what the name of the neighborhood is called?
No, pub.
No.
A hotel.
So
where you go to drink.
So she's actually saying locations rather than a neighborhood or a street.
Got it.
So again, we'll expand on that a little bit later. So just keep them in the back of your mind. All right, so if I move on to my first exclusive collection, Chinatown. So Lily and I are on the same page here. I've just gone for a exclusive over limited, but again, it'd easily be either or. So again, if another great place to visit for the culture, for the food, for the shopping. Historic, vibrant culture hub centered in the middle of the city. It's just a fantastic spot. So I'd be super surprised if this wasn't a collection of some sort, but I've gone with an exclusive. Lily went for a limited. So I'll go with that. That's all. Now this one, Lily may not agree with me, and this one could easily be a limited too. So my second exclusive selection was Surrey Hills. So that didn't show up on Lily's list at all. Now, I think Surrey Hills, because it also incorporates a lot of the sporting precinct as well as residential. It's got the headquarters of the New South Wales Police there, which I know is neither here or there. Well, not the headquarters anymore. They've moved out to Parramatta, but the main police station there in Surrey Hills. It's huge with the courthouse and everything there as well. Yeah, so anything as it says here, blending heritage terraces with modern cafes, galleries, fashion studios. Yeah, it's got everything. Lily, thoughts on that one?
It does have everything, and I would have, you know, if I was picking a suburb, I would have picked between Surrey Hills and Glebe, but I wouldn't have had both. But
Yeah, that's
no, I decided not to go with Surrey Hills.
that's the fair call. Yeah, so I guess not much more to say, I guess, on that one. So we move on to my last exclusive collection, and I've gone with a street for this one, being George Street. So that's basically the main street through the heart of the city. I'm not sure. Did you have that on your list at all, Lily?
No, I didn't. And do you know what I noticed on the map? They've not traced the whole of George Street. So now that they've built the tram going down there, Upland hasn't shown the street. The street is still there. You just don't drive on it with the trams anymore. But they haven't drawn the whole street.
Yeah, that's been the case in the past. There was an ultra rare collection, I think, in the expansion of Paris, that was kind of like that. It was a street, but wasn't a street you could drive on. It turned out to be an ultra rare, so that did cross my mind. I mean, this development that you now can't drive down George Street is relatively new. Now, I've been out of Sydney for about 20 years, so it definitely wasn't the case when I last lived in and around Sydney. I was aware that they put light rail in there and, made it more of a pedestrian precinct, which is cool. It makes it an awesome vibe to walk around, shop, and whatnot. So I still think it's quite a significant street through the heart of the city, and I'd be surprised if it wasn't a collection, but at the same price, probably not super surprised, I guess. I don't know. All right, so you've got a couple of selections, Lily, for exclusive. What have you gone with?
Yep. So I went for smaller things. So I specifically pointed out Glebe Point Road, which is full of dining experiences, as you can probably tell by now. I'm a big eater. I love to eat. So I'm going with lots of food places. So yeah, Glebe Point Road is lovely. You've got the markets on the weekend. You see families walking up and down the street. It's just a lovely place. So I picked Glebe Point Road. And I put the rocks in there because there's a lot of small properties. And if they've marked the properties as being as small as they are, then there'll be a lot of properties in the rocks. So I think it can't possibly be higher than exclusive, in my opinion. Of course, that means nothing.
We'll get to that.
I've never collection speculated before, ever. And then I picked Pitt Street Mall, which is a major shopping hub. And it's full of people, shoulder to shoulder, almost every day of the week.
Cool. So I have gone with the rocks, and I've done exactly what you said. It won't be higher. And guess where I had it?
Next.
Well, it's not the next slide. Actually, I can make it the next slide, can't I? Or can I not? I think I can. All right. Speculation number 2, so we'll come back to number 1. The rocks. So as Lily said, lots and lots of small properties. You can even see that in the photos down the bottom, the quite close together. Lots of pubs, lots of restaurants, lots of everything again, and obviously right on the water, underneath the harbour bridge. It goes right up underneath the harbour bridge. Beautiful spot in the world. Maybe I've gone more emotional for this one to be a red collection, because to me that's what it deserves. I don't know if Upland are a bit more strict in terms of the number of properties before they give it a certain collection category. So maybe if there is too many, maybe Lily's on the money there. But maybe for me, it's a bit more emotional. Like, it's just such a great spot to go. Try go there New Year's Eve. As you can see with the photos of the bridge there, you can't move. You literally cannot move. Just so many people trying to get a glimpse of the fireworks. Which I'm sure everyone...
Same at Vivid, it's jammed full of people there too. On the markets on a weekend, it's jammed full of people.
See, I've not
always got things.
having been out of Sydney for about 20 years or so now, I've never been to Vivid. That's the light festival, yeah.
Yeah.
So is that the third photo there? Is that possibly Vivid?
It may be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Because the bridge is lit up and the buildings are
Yeah.
lit up and
Yeah. So again, I mean, the backdrop of the bridge and the opera house and the harbour just makes everything amazing. So for me, the rocks, like I said, might be more emotional, but if it's not a collection, dead set, I'd give up ever speculating again. If it's not a collection of some sort, because to me, this is almost number one on my list.
It looks beautiful. I mean, it
all
looks
right,
awesome.
So Lily earlier mentioned Oxford Street. Only thing that makes me think maybe it won't be a red collection is maybe it's a little bit long, but how much of it's in the release, I don't know, or will ever be released, I don't know. So as it says, they're iconic for its LGBTQ community, nightlife, and Mardi Gras parade. So we have that. I think it's the first weekend of every February. Yeah, definitely a unique part of the world, that's for sure, and an amazing part of the world. Very colourful, as you can tell from some of the photos. And I think the streets are permanently painted those colours. They're not just there for the weekend. I could be wrong on that. Again, I haven't been there for 20 years, so I'm a little bit rusty on my Sydney knowledge. So, but Lily had that in there. So anything else to add to that, Lily?
no, it's Oxford Street. I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Again, I'm confident of it being a collection. I'd be super surprised if it wasn't. I'm not going to give percentage or anything like that. Just confident, not confident. And to me, this deserves to be, if not red, an orange collection. If not, I'd again super surprised. All right, so now we're going to move into Lily's rare suggestions.
Okay, so you put Oxford Street as a rare, and you selected the Cross as a whole thing on its own, the whole suburb. Whereas
Yep.
I thought as a rare, maybe Darlinghurst Road, which is, you know, the main strip
for
of,
See, I thought
the
about
Cross.
this for a bit, and on the show the other day, I actually even suggested Darlinghurst Road could be a rare collection, but or even an ultra rare. And what I was referring to there is more the strip. Obviously, the road's much longer than the King's Cross strip itself, so maybe
It
properties.
changes names, though. Technically, it changes names when it leaves the Cross.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it does I'm not sure how far it comes. Well, being Darlinghurst Road from the other side as well. But I was thinking maybe there's a chance that the cross locations that are on the strip themselves could be an ultra rare collection just on their own. That's not in my list today, so I'll just say that as a Dark Horse number 2. There is a Dark Horse coming up, but that was my first thought the other day when we were talking about it. And it's still, I wouldn't be at all surprised if the strip itself, which would only consist, I would think, 20 or 30, maybe more, 40 properties. At a guess, and I'm probably way off the mark there, but I would suggest that'd be about it, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was ultra rare. So, for it to be a rare for the whole street, yeah, totally agree with Lily. I think there's a very good chance.
And my other pick was Martin Place.
Again, a lovely spot, right in the heart of the CBD.
Anzac Day ceremonies are held there. Lots of things are held in Martin Place. Vivid starts from Martin Place. Martin Place is just a big hub. I mean, even, you know, the train station to get out, to go to work in the area is right. The exit is right in Martin Place. You know, you got the TV station right there where you can watch the morning show, which I don't think I've ever watched.
Not lately. Not lately. Yeah, the Channel 7 TV, and then you've got like Lint Cafe across the road from it. Am I right to say that Martin Place
the
itself?
MLC Centre's right there, you know.
So Martin Place itself is a pedestrian only access, but it has many roads that cross over it. Is that right?
Yeah. So Castlereagh goes through there, and you know, it's a lovely space. And it's usually full of pedestrians crossing, going somewhere else, unless there's an event. And unfortunately, when you mention the cafe, there's the whole history of what happened at the cafe that year. But
Yeah, probably
it's a great place.
What's the
arguably one
history of the cafe?
it's probably arguably our worst terrorist incident on our soil here.
Yeah.
It was all about that same time when that was sort of don't want to say that word. When it was sort of going on around the world, there was one so-called, person that, let's just watch what I say here. Held some people hostage for quite a few hours. A couple of people were killed consequently. It sort of captivated the city for about 24 hours, I'd say.
Oh wow!
So it was.
Yeah.
It went on.
People stayed away for weeks after because they just couldn't face going there unless they were there to drop off flowers. The whole area was covered in flowers for weeks.
So is
it
it
was
more
a
infamous
terrible event.
famous?
No, it was famous before, and you got to recover. You can't live like that. It's got to go back to being what it was, which is one of the greatest areas to congregate, and it's Martin Place.
Which it is. And the next time I was back in Sydney, because I was living out in Broken Hill, so far west of Sydney at the time when that happened. But yeah, the next time I went back to Sydney, I made it a point to go get a coffee from the Link Cafe. I think it affected everybody, regardless of whether you lived in Sydney or not, just to see what was going on around the world at the time, and then suddenly something happens like that in your own country was a bit of a shock, I think.
What year was that?
I would like to say it was shortly after. Hang on, I moved out. I'd like to say around 2009.
Okay.
Something. I'm only guessing at the date, so I don't know if Lily has a better idea. I've got too much open already to try.
I'm looking it up.
I'm going to say 2008 or 2009, somewhere around there.
2014, 15th to the 16th of December on 20.
Oh wow, I was way out.
2014. Yeah.
Wow.
I was going to say it couldn't have been that far back.
It's like 11 years ago then.
So anyway, but again, forgetting about that, the whole area is just beautiful. Martin Place is one of those, when Lily said it, I was like, how the hell have I not got that on my list? But you can't have everything on the list. That's the problem we've got here.
And the Christmas tree, there's a Christmas tree. So.
All that's it too. I mean, Upland could come out with 30 collections for this 15% release, and I'd still say, but these places deserve to be a collection. So, there's going to be a lot of places I'm going to scratch my head and go, how is that not a collection? But we can't fit them all in there, I guess. So it is what it is. So Ultra, I'll go first because you already touched on Ultra Rare. Now, I really, really struggled with trying to pick an Ultra Rare. Like I mentioned, the King's Cross strip was a good shot. But I felt like I had to go for an Aussie answer here. Like, we love our pubs. It is, like we mentioned before, it's like one of the first things that get built when a new town's established. There's almost a pub on every corner, pretty much everywhere in this country. Maybe not as much as it used to be. Maybe they're not as easy to establish as they used to be once upon a time. But there are a lot of historic pubs or hotels in the heart of the city. There's just a few pictures of some of them in the city. So established in 1828, that last one, the Fortune of War, that's, almost 200-year-old pub. Now for Australia, I mean, go to England and say, a building, it's 200-300 years, everyone's like, yeah, big deal. For Australia, that's a fair chunk of its history. So I agree with Lily. It'd be very un-Australian not to have pubs show up somewhere on this collection. But then we've already seen a lot of un-Australian things with this release, so we won't dwell on that. Let's move on. So what did you have for your Ultra Rare, Lily?
Okay, so mine, Upland does really weird collections, as we've said.
Yes.
So they go with personal preference. So I went with my personal preference, and I know that there are only 9 properties in the area that's to be released, and they're all going to end up in somebody else's hands because I checked the map and none of them are available for minting. So I went with architecture and specifically Harry Seidler buildings. Now, Harry Seidler was an architect in well, he wasn't Australian born. He immigrated here, but he practiced architecture in Sydney for 50 years, and he changed the landscape of the city. So he's a big architectural landmark for Sydney. So I pick him. Own a building by Harry Seidler in Sydney.
So what do you mean by they will be minted by someone else, not available for minting? Do you mean they are already a landmark, or
They're not on the map. One of them's not even labelled, so they're not. There's no property there.
oh, so they might come later
So-
or something?
So they're blank. But that's what I'm
So it could be
figuring.
given
They're the properties that are already in the bundles, is what I'm thinking. That the property
Alright.
bundles aren't on the map.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure how they'll. In fact, I haven't even gone to look at it. So, are you saying there's already some lines up for some properties and stuff? Are you?
Yeah, there's properties up. There's
Okay, so I
properties up.
I've been flat out working today and getting this collection, so I haven't even looked at Sydney, or didn't even realise the borders are up or anything like that. So maybe I should have gone and done that.
Bad form, Swarley. Bad form.
I'm sorry, I was preparing this my whole collection thing with pretty pictures and everything.
It looks beautiful.
So with only 9 properties, that would make it a super ultra rare. So that'd be interesting. All right, so we're going for one last dark horse. I'll let you go first, Lily. So we haven't really labelled this collection. We've each done one dark horse. We haven't really labelled what collection it might be. Just said, wouldn't be surprised if it turned out to be a collection. So you go, Lily.
Well, there's quite a lot of, theatres, like small theatres, scattered throughout Sydney. And they're probably fairly evenly scattered too. You could find one here, there, and everywhere. And a lot of them have been converted to something else or have been rejuvenated. Quite often, the Historic Society kind of has control of them, but they're still open as venues, a lot of them. So, you'll find theatres pretty much open for music venues rather than plays. So, yeah, I would say theatres.
So I can't disagree with you. I certainly think that's an possibility. And that was one way I went with the London release, was the theatres and the West End, stuff like that. So there's a kind of, and I know it's got absolutely nothing to do with different city, different collections, different everything. You can't compare them whatsoever. But for me personally, there's a bit of a bad taste that if London didn't get theatres, then nobody deserves to get theatres.
That's true.
So that's just the way I look at the theatre thing from me. I don't disagree, and I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, that I don't mean to sort of. Anyway, we'll just move on from there. So I've gone with. Now you can say, you can say this, Mr. Elslack. You talked about it on the show the other day. They gave you a bit of a masterclass.
Oh gosh, I looked at this earlier today, and I was like, "Crap, how do I say this again?" Woolaloomaaloo.
You were close. Woolloomooloo.
Woolloomooloo. That's exactly what I meant to say.
So I'll go out on a limb. I don't know this 100%. I'm positive, or not positive. I'm pretty sure to say that it's an Aboriginal word, and that a lot of places in Australia are named after the original or the indigenous name of the places, and I'm pretty sure this is one of them.
Can I ask another stupid question? Stupid American question?
Yes.
Do Aboriginals speak English?
They do now, but they have their own language as well.
Okay, that's right.
Well, they have thousands of languages.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, different dialects.
They don't have one language.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, which is why it's so hard to keep the history alive, because whilst they're one people, they're many different peoples. So.
Okay.
from what I understand, they were here for upwards of 60,000 years, living off the land
Holy
and
shit.
spread out over the whole country. So, and you know, Australia's as big as America, give or take. So spread out across and basically all around the edge. And they do fair way inland as well. They moved as well, but yeah, all over the country pretty much. And you know, there wasn't technology to to interact with too many other tribes and whatnot. So yeah, so like Billy said, yeah, many different languages, but yeah, definitely they do. But now, yeah, obviously English, with the English colonizing the country almost two and a half centuries ago. Yeah, so that's our collection speculation for Sydney. Now, I think I'd be happy if we hit one or two collections. Me personally, probably the Rocks is probably where I'll hopefully try and head to. I don't know. What about you, Lila? Where you don't have to say if you don't want to. What do you think you'll go after first? First of all, are you even minting? Have you flown to Sydney?
Well, I was thinking about trying to, and then I looked at the map and what's available, and then I second guessed myself again, going, well, what is the point? Nothing that I want is there. And I'm back to I don't know if I'm going or not. But if I were to go, the handful of properties that are available in Elizabeth Bay, I would be trying for those simply because I love Elizabeth Bay. So that's where I would be going, not because I think it's a collection, but just because I would like Elizabeth Bay, and from there I'd be heading off elsewhere.
And the first, it was mentioned, I think someone from our node first mentioned, it might have been Elsac, I'm not sure, it was like when Sydney was announced, like, oh, that would have been great for our pirate node. And it would have been, except for it would have been super expensive. So
yeah,
I think they said the average price was 67,000 UPX, with the max 5.5 million. Expect this to be sort of Tokyo, London level prices. I'm not even sure. I mean, Sydney is a super expensive city in the world, and in the first place, and the reason why I'm currently living in Melbourne and not Sydney, the same place that I live here in Melbourne, is a fraction of the cost it would be in Sydney. And Melbourne's still a lovely spot. Doesn't quite have the harbour and some of the views that Sydney has, but it still has a lot of the other things that Sydney does. So for us, it was kind of a no-brainer to move to Melbourne. Plus, my wife works here in Melbourne. So if Melbourne ever gets released, I'll be super excited about that too. But Sydney would have been my first choice. I am super excited about Sydney. I wish it happened 18 months ago, and I wish it wasn't happening at 2 a.m. But we'll leave that at that. Yeah, so any last thoughts, Lily, before we move on? Or
Does anybody know how long the flight is yet?
from Miami, it took me just a hair under 3 hours from Miami.
Oh, that's not too bad.
so that's the East Coast. Yeah, that's not. I mean, it's a 18-hour flight or something in real life from Sydney to.
Yes, 17
LA,
on average, I think.
Yeah. So it's. Yeah, I've got to head out. I'll probably head out today down there, but I haven't done it yet. So, do we have any questions at all? I'm sure you would have told me else. Like,
I don't know. I'm sitting here looking at these, and like every single one of these look beautiful. I haven't seen like one bad looking area. You've made an argument for every one of them, and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how you couldn't pick any of these, but I think the one that stands out the most to me is that one with the painted street. Which one was that?
Oxford Street.
Oxford.
Yeah, Oxford Street. That one sounds like a street collection to me, but
I don't know how to go backwards in the slide. Yeah, Oxford Street. I mean, again, there's so many streets that could be collections. I didn't research to see if Parramatta Road was in this release. I assume it was. It's kind of an extension of of George Street, which is the one that runs through the heart of the city. Parramatta Road pretty much runs west, right from the heart of the city, right out to the outskirts of Sydney. It's arguably one of the
so
biggest and busiest roads in this country.
So it's running through from the edge of Camperdown all the way to Haymarket.
So that would be another street. If I happened to be near that, I'd definitely be trying to hit some properties on that. Just such a
So
big...
of course it changes names, into Broadway, but it is there and it's running all the way.
Well, it does. I guess George Street, Broadway, and then Parramatta Road.
Yeah.
But if you're driving on it, you wouldn't realise it's changed names, or it just feels like the same road. And like I said, it goes right out to Penrith, which is right on the, well, pretty much further than that even, but pretty much right out to Penrith, which is like 50 kilometres away.
What is both of you, this question for both of you, which neighborhood do you think is least likely to get a collection?
Ooh.
Like, just stay clear, far away from this neighborhood as possible.
That's nasty.
I'm going to say Moore Park, because anything in there, it's just too small, and everything in there is kind of a landmark. I can't imagine there's any properties in there to actually mint.
You can't even see it on this map that the Upland have done. I can bring up my... Give me a sec. I'll track down where my...
So Moore Park, Lily, you're saying stay the hell away from Moore Park.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything in there to mint. I'm just looking at it now, and yeah, it is literally just things that you wouldn't be able to mint anyway. So.
Okay.
I'm a little bit rusty.
They're all kind of landmark things. So
I'm a little bit rusty on where Moore Park.
It's at the bottom.
Here. Oh, we've seen that with neighbourhoods before, though, where it's mostly...
Yeah, I can't see a single property in there. So.
Oh my, yeah.
But
is it just a golf course?
Maybe that'll make it ultra rare.
No, it's a park, but it's also the Sydney Cricket Ground,
okay.
and there's a stadium, and it started off as a Fox Studios redevelopment, but it's now been renamed Disney Studios, and
right.
they made the Matrix and all that in there, but there's also show rings for horses, and the Horton Pavilion was a huge music area, and they have like monthly markets in there. So you go in there and you go to the markets. There's a whole eating precinct in there.
Okay.
It looks like it might be all landmarks by the looks of it.
Yeah,
that's what I mean.
It might be a landmark city.
Yeah, I don't think there will be a single property in there. Not even in any packages. I don't think you'll get anything in there at all.
There's got to be something in there.
Barangaroo is... I mean, that's got some historic significance with it. The Pope came and visited Sydney a few years back. When I say a few, it might be more like 20 almost. I can't remember what year it was. I spent a week here patrolling this as a police officer with tens of maybe hundreds of thousands of people. I don't know how many people came, but a lot. So I know my feet were killing by the end of that week. I can tell you that much now.
Well, I went to Crown, and it's quite nice.
Yeah, I haven't been there since they built the casino.
It was shocking though that we couldn't get in the door to the casino itself. They have this rule that if you live in New South Wales, you need to give 24 hours advance notice and show ID before you can get in the next day.
Really?
Yes. So I tried to go once, and Can't get in. Can't get in.
I'm not going to answer that question where to avoid.
Come on, Swarley. Have a little
No,
fun.
because like an argument could be made for any one of these neighbourhoods to be a collection. That's the problem. Lily's argument where there's bugger all in here other than like the landmarks and stuff is a very good point, and I have to agree with that. In terms of everything else, like there's an argument you could make for almost every neighbourhood to be a collection. Obviously, that can't be the case, and I struggled to get it down to just a few today. So, I mean, this is one of the most expensive places in Sydney, called Double Bay. Locals tend to call it Double Pay because everything costs so much there. Obviously, Bondi Beach.
That will probably be in the
Sorry, Bondi Beach is
expansions.
down here.
See, there's also Camperdown. So most of that is hospital and university.
Yeah.
So chances that will be a collection are probably quite slim. But could be wrong.
See, I'm surprised there wasn't more of the coast. I mean, I guess Sydney is such a huge thing, but for Bondi Beach, Coogee Bay, then you come down to Cronulla, Sutherland. Like to me, these are iconic spots. But then you got the same in the north side of Sydney too, with Manly Beach and so many other awesome beaches.
That's eastern suburbs, northern suburbs. Whereas this is inner city. So I think they did well with their choice, and I think they stuck to the inner city pretty well.
And when you think that 15%
Newtown should have been in there. Yeah, Newtown should have been in there.
So another one
we're missing Newtown.
Another one I'll be looking for with an expansion will be Balmain. Such a lovely spot, very old, historic, beautiful, very tucked in. All the buildings are those terrace types. Pretty much all the buildings. The streets weren't built for cars, so they're pretty narrow. Very reminiscent of basically the English style of not really, cramming everything in really tight together because that's what they're used to, I guess, on the tiny little island they live on.
And you can't even fit a car in your front yard because there's no distance between the house and the street. And there's no room to park it on the street either.
As I said, it was all built long before cars were around. So, it's a horrible place to be driving around. But again, lovely spot. Anzac Bridge is obviously nowhere near the significance of the Harbour Bridge, but it's a lovely bridge.
What are those streets that you were talking about?
All right, so Parramatta.
About those main streets.
All right, so again, I'm a little bit rusty. So I'm driving this, but I'm a little bit rusty, having not lived in Sydney for nearly 20 years.
So you see where Camperdown is? Parramatta Road is on the north side of Camperdown. The yellow line that's going through there is Parramatta Road.
Oh, I see it. Right in the middle.
Yep.
Okay.
And then it turns into Broadway, and then it turns into George Street.
So Broadway, George Street, so yeah.
Okay.
I thought George Street went all the way through into the...
It does. They've not shown it.
Yeah, because that's what I'm trying to do now is to follow George Street, because I know it goes all the way through to the cross, to the rocks. And I'm trying to work out where that is, and I'm like, hang on, why can't I see that?
Because they've removed all the bit that you can't drive on, even though it's still George Street. It's still signposted as a street. People still walk it as a street. Trams go down it as a street. It is still George Street, but it's not on this map. Upland doesn't recognise it as being there, even though it's there.
They have got the name here, so maybe these properties will still be. And I'm guessing we can't click on it, can we? Oh, there you go. It is George Street. So I'll stick with my because for a second then I was like, well, maybe George Street. Forget about that. Move on. But no, these are still coming up as George Street. So I'm going to stick with it being a potential rare collection.
Okay.
So and
that's a lot of properties though. For
maybe it could be exclusive then. it's just such a. Yeah. I mean, we've said that about city releases before, with the main streets, main thoroughfare straight through the middle of it, and it hasn't been a collection. So nothing will surprise me with Upland. I think that's the one thing anyone that's done this more than once sort of starts to understand, that you really sometimes it's just the best guess.
Yeah. I was so upset. I'm looking at the map and I'm going, oh my goodness, there's nothing available on Market Street. There's nothing available on King Street. There's nothing available on Hunter Street. There's nothing available to mint anywhere.
Well, I think you're right where these are only the bundle properties. So I think you need to keep an eye on that, because I think once they're all done and dusted, because there's still like another day or two before the release itself.
No, I think the ones that aren't there are the ones that are in the bundles.
No,
Well, now, Lily, you're going to need to get a bundle, like you
I
said
think
you didn't want to do.
I think it's the other way around. I could be wrong. Maybe someone else in chat knows. Because I don't think they show us until the last minute, basically, what we're going to mint. So, I don't know. Maybe again, I don't know. I'm only guessing, but I would have guessed that these were the bundle properties that are going to be given out. What? 11 hours from now. 2 a.m. At 2 a.m. But that's just my thoughts. So if anyone else knows the answer for that, for sure.
You may be right, because you would think there'd be a lot more properties that you could click on, but they seem pretty sparse.
Oh, see, this needs to have my Southern Cross structure on the Great Southern Hotel. Yeah, so I think I think Lily, you need to recheck. But again, I'm only guessing, but I think you might need to recheck once the city lines come. And you don't typically do that until hours before the release, where basically, and even then there'll still be properties missing, because that'll be the 1,000 properties from the passes that will be released, a week later.
Yeah, I'm thinking what's available is what's on the map, and everything else is in passes and in
I think it's the other way around.
Or in bundles.
So we'll have to wait and see. My guess is the other way around. My guess is these are the bundles. So we'll have to wait and see, I guess. See who's right. Not that it's
Only time will tell.
Yeah, we'll find out in 12 hours. So if all the bundles sell out, I assume all the bundles will sell out except for maybe the $99 one.
I don't know. There's a lot of hype on there. You could get one of those sweet buildings you can set up on. That's the only ones.
If I was I've never owned a landmark. If I was to ever own one, Sydney would be a dream to be the city I own the landmark in. But again, I'm not going out of my way for it. So, and I think all the good landmarks are all reserved now these days anyway. So I don't know whether at less than a 1% chance to get a landmark. It was less than 2% chance.
I think it was 66 or 0.66% chance.
Whatever it was a very tiny chance. And at best, you're getting a property equal to the value of the US dollars that you're paying, despite that the current or the floor across Upland generally is around 20 to 25%. It just makes it tough to buy the bundle. And I've even been thinking about it this week, because I'm like, if I'm ever going to buy a bundle, it's this city release, the $99 one, I mean. And
Buy
I'm
the
like,
bundle, you pansy.
I'm trying to find a reason to. Hopefully my missus isn't watching it and goes, all right, we've already spent enough money on Upland this week. We're not spending any more. And she's got a very good point.
What's another $99?
Well, it's 150
It's
something
not.
for
It's
us.
like, yeah, it's 160 or so.
Sorry, what's another $160?
Yeah, right. Well, where's your friggin' bundle purchases then? Huh?
That's the shopping budget for the week down the tubes.
Yes, I don't know. I'll think about that one a little bit more. I know I could wake up in the morning and still buy a bundle, so I'm not stressing about having to make a decision quick smart. The bundles for Miami didn't sell out. Maybe they do for Sydney, being a brand new city. But with only two, there's so many landmarks, and they've only given out 2 for the bundle. And I really hope they fix it up. Last time, people that bought the bundle in Miami, from what I understand, so correct me if I'm wrong, they did not get the landmarks, and therefore the landmarks just went up for minting when the city opened or the expansion opened. And to me, that is so wrong. If they didn't sell the bundles and they just put all the bundle properties back on the market to be minted at the thing, the landmarks should have been given away to the players who had already purchased a bundle. In my opinion. And
Yeah.
I don't think it should have just been available for somebody to come along and mint upon the city opening. It never crossed my mind that was a possibility. And when I saw someone say that, I was like, no, tell me that's not true. Because that's horrifying. To think that you bought a bundle, didn't get the property, and someone just minted it, that would be devastating, I think.
That's pretty fucked.
Yeah. Well, that would leave such a sour taste in my mouth for Upland. I mean, the fact that the bundles aren't best value anyway. I mean, that should be a bonus. If it doesn't sell out, well, guess what? Your odds of getting one has just went up. And maybe they have to then swap the one that they were given for the, they did win, were in a draw or whatever and won. Maybe they need to swap it out for the property they were given. Which I'm pretty sure to say that most people would say, fuck yeah. I don't know. Again, that's just my thoughts on that. So if the bundles don't sell out, I'd be super disappointed to see it not given out to someone that bought the bundle. Even if they took it back off the market and just kept it up their little sleeve, I still don't think that's cool. It should go. I mean, if only one person bought a bundle, they should get a landmark. That's the way I see it.
I agree.
Anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, anything else before we move on?
No.
Oh. You want to take this away, Mr. Elslight?
Oh, the unprecedented Genesis Node bundle giveaway for Genesis Week. Well, I haven't prepped for this, so we will fly by the seat of our pants.
It is a little bit that. It's a little bit fly by the seat of our pants. We're not 100% prepared for this, but we will announce it so we can start getting the ball rolling.
Yes.
We do hope to start this on this week's show for the Upland After Dark.
Yep.
All right,
that's
all right,
the plan.
You go with it, and I'll fill in the gaps.
So Ben68 has reached out to
Major sponsor of the
us.
show.
He's a sponsor of the show, but he's reached out to us and asked us if we would be willing to give away, was it 41 of his Midtown Terrace properties? And we happily accepted. We are more than willing and happy to coordinate something to give away some of these amazing properties that with full structures on them in the Genesis node, if I'm not mistaken, as he's dubbed it. Yeah, so we're gonna go and we're gonna have 5 different ways where you can enter to win these bundles. And when we say bundles, we mean a real bundle. So we're going to give away 13 opportunities, if I'm not mistaken. I believe it's 13 at 3 bundles, or at 3 properties with structures on them, plus a Midtown Terrace.
Yeah. So each bundle. So unlike those other bundles where you get one property and that's it, no structures or anything else, and it's only one property, not a number of properties, that's not a bundle.
Nope.
This is a bundle. So there's 13 of these, and there'll be 2 single properties we give them away as well. So they're still a bundle because they come with the structure and they come with a structural ornament. But for the start, we're dealing with 13 bundles of 3 Midtown Terrace properties, which, mind you, is already a collection in San Francisco. So you got the Genesis City, the Genesis Node for the Genesis Week giveaway.
The trifecta. And you got 5 ways to win it. If you scroll down a little bit.
5 ways to enter.
5 ways to enter, yes. So you can like and subscribe. This form is going to come out. We're going to post this in the Discord server. We'll probably post it on X. I don't know exactly where we're going to post it, everything, but it's going to be out there. You're not going to be able to miss it. Like and subscribe to this channel. Like and repost an X post, which is going to be coming soon. And when it does pop up, I'm going to link it to this form. Like Ben68 on X, click the link, like him. Like the Vulgarian Pirates on X. If you didn't know, we just created the Vulgarian Pirates X account last night. So that's up and running. And then lastly, make a creative X post tagging Ben68 in GH1645, which is our X account, and then Upland.
All right, that we need to adjust that slightly. That needs to be of Midtown Terrace.
Okay. And if you look up, this is subject to change as we fix our mistakes or if some hiccup shows up along the way. But essentially, this is what we got. This is the way you can win. You do the tasks, click off the buttons, paste the link to your X post so we can verify, and then you'll be entered to win. So as many of those tasks you get done, it'll be as many entries as you have, but you can only win once. So once you win, you're done. We want 13 individual winners. So
yeah, so this is open to everybody to start with. So whether you already own Midtown Terrace properties or not, it's open to everybody, else like myself included. Although I probably won't enter. So yeah, if you already own Midtown properties, awesome. Here's a chance to grab 3 more and do what you will with them. So as Elsac said, they come with obviously the structure already built and the structural ornament. I don't have. Do I have that handy? I think
I hope you do.
Give me a sec. I'll see if I can show. Careful.
It'd be nice if we had.
Here we go. So these are the structural. So these are the structural ornaments.
Okay.
So but the ones he said that come with are the black version. So reverse these colors. So this is for his giveaway this week on the show, I believe. Or was it from I think it's from this week. I'm not sure. I have to double check my notes. So yeah, reverse these colors, and that's what the ones that'll come with the structure. So that's how you do a bundle.
That's
3 properties, 3 structures, 3 structural ornaments. 1 to be given away on Upland After Dark each week, leading up to Genesis Week. So if you do your maths, there's a few left over. So you figure out what's going to happen on Genesis Week.
Yeah. This is kind of a big deal because this has historically been a very difficult neighborhood to get into. I
will just I did watch your video from this morning, and you said potentially the biggest giveaway ever.
For us.
For us, yes, I'll give you that. Or even the biggest giveaway of 2025, I'll give you that.
Yeah, not ever.
But I don't think anybody's matching what Ben gave away in the final episode at the end of last year. That's gonna take some beating. I mean, just to start with 1 million upix, let alone God knows how many Midtown Terrace properties.
It was a fuck ton.
100.
Yeah,
like 100 or something.
I just meant what I meant to say. Even if I didn't say it, it was just for us. This is our biggest giveaway ever.
Definitely our biggest giveaway, arguably the biggest giveaway of 2025. So we'll go with either one of those 2. So guys, tune into Upland After Dark. Follow. We're trying to give out quality content. None of this unprepared stuff that we used to do, which was a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. We enjoyed just talking shit and making stuff up as we go. But the Upland After Dark's obviously a show that's got a bit of direction. It's got 3, maybe 4. Now I think Lily's sort of agreed to come on board at least as a part-time co-host, which is awesome. So not only add a bit of a feminine touch to the show, but a moderator for Upland, the UGC creator, very experienced in the game. So absolutely awesome person to have on board.
Yeah, it's gonna be a privilege to have her on.
Oh,
can you look at those? When are those damn passes supposed to come out? Because I bought the damn thing and it hasn't shown up.
I'm going to stop sharing now. So I've lost. So controls all back to you.
Oh, Swirly.
So that's my first
have
ever.
Your Sydney pass?
I didn't buy.
I bought a pass. I thought, well, I bought one, but I don't have it. Where the hell is that?
They came out like 5 minutes later as soon as you bought it.
Oh, it might be
I
like
don't have it.
the Lord of Ep1.
Oh, I'm gonna be so pissed off if that's the case.
I forgot
But
to
yeah,
even register.
It was
And you know what? I'm not
Yeah.
disappointed because I don't want to own that pass.
well, I'm gonna have to go look for it.
Yeah, I wanted to own it even if it looked terrible for Australia.
Look, if it had a
It was
picture
still
of Sydney,
pretty.
yeah, generic, pretty, yeah, but not Australian or.
Yeah.
If it,
No.
I mean, all they had to do was, the Opera House, Harbour Bridge, the harbour itself, the city. There's so many things. Not to mention Kangaroo's Call, which is not Sydney. That's just Australia. But if it wanted to be a city-focused one, and some of those passes have been awesome. So that's why I'm a little bit disappointed that the Sydney pass isn't awesome, because some of the other ones have been brilliant. So
I mean, I did think about it. You know what would have been good? A funnel web.
a funnel web and a brown snake facing off. Yeah, that would have been creepy, but yeah, that would have been. That would have been popular too. I'd say.
That's damn legit. Which
Go check
angers
the
me
blockchain.
greatly.
Yeah, so I didn't even register for the pass, to be honest. I was a bit disappointed in it. So yeah, it is what it is. So
Yeah, I'll figure it out.
So I've got nothing more to add.
Okay. Well, if that's it, then that's it, and that's where we end it.
Yeah.
That's
I'll just open up chat. Good morning, Maui. So she got the end of the show. So yeah,
Yeah.
my first ever attempt at trying to speculate collections. I haven't even really bothered doing that myself in the past. I've just taken everybody else's research and gone with it. So for me to do my own for a change, it was different. It was interesting. Much, much tougher than I ever thought it was going to be. So how Banana Man and his team do it all the time, or Human Sim, I've got no clue. Hats off to them. And to have a success rate of something like 70%, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's give or take 70% overall. Pretty phenomenal effort.
yeah, that's really impressive.
Yeah, he does great.
Yeah, I'd be over the moon if I got even half of them right. I'd be like, that'd be a huge success if I even half right. When you throw like roughly 10 guesses out there, you got to hit one of them shortly. I think even Laura Ravager says, throw 10.
I would say that I will run at about 5%.
Yeah. And that's from a couple of people that know the city pretty
We'll
well.
watch this back. We'll run this back on Upland After Dark, and we'll see how accurate you guys are.
Well, it's going to be a few weeks away,
Okay.
but yeah. It's only 20,000 properties, so probably most of it would sell out pretty quick, I would say, with only 1%, or less than 1%, didn't they say, FSA. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it'll sell out instantly like that night. I don't think it'll be like, within an hour or two. But I would say within a couple of weeks, if not a week or so. But
Yeah, I'm thinking it might sell out.
you think
I'm
straight
thinking
away,
it
like
might
within hours?
Yeah, I'm saying give it 4 hours and it'll be gone. That's my guess.
I mean, if Abdullah shows up and goes down and buys like that 5.5 mil one and all the other ones, all the other really big ones, then I'd say, yeah, I'll give it a more chance to sell out really quickly. But, someone buying that, Dizzy obviously could do that quite comfortably. But there's not a lot of people that would have lazy 5.5 mil to mint that and still be able to mint other stuff. I certainly don't. I don't even have half that much.
Yeah, I
Alright.
think I've got more UPX than I've ever had for an opening, and I'm still only going to have like 220k. I don't think I've ever held more UPX than that ever.
Okay, I thought you were going to say you got a couple of mil or something. I was like, fair enough.
I've never held a mil. I
Yep.
never have held a mil.
You're
I
like
think the
Elsa.
most I've ever held, I think, was 350, and that's because somebody bought something from me.
You're like else. Like as soon as he gets UPX in his account, out it goes.
I
One
spend
way
that
or
shit
the
as
other.
fast as
He's either
possible.
buying something. He's either buying something shit or giving it away. I did think it was interesting that you're catching up on your giveaways that you did promise, like literally days before a city release.
Look, well, I wanted to make sure that I got the people what they were owed before the city opening. Look, I'm happy to sacrifice my shit. If I say I'm gonna do something, I want to
That's
make sure
the
I
flip
do
side.
it.
You're helping people to get some extra upix for the city release. So that was like you're doing good. So that's the non-selfish point of view of it. So I'm proud of you, Like very proud.
Thank you.
So, all right. Well, I'm done.
All right, well, let's get out of here then. It's been a real blast.
Thank you for joining, Lily, and chucking some thoughts in. Because me on my own, that would have been really boring, I think. So,
Would have been abysmal.
Thanks for having
Yeah.
me.
all right, Lily. Catch you later.
Thanks,
See
Lily.
ya.
All right, everybody. Have a good evening, and we will check you later. Peace.